Hello, everyone. My name is Shani Jones. I am your resident certified sex coach, and thank you for joining me on Do You Know the New Kinky You? I am just hosting a quick, or I should say posting rather than hosting, a quick video to just share with you the types of resources that I have access to as I continue to grow and develop as a sexual health professional. There is a group of us, and it doesn't seem to be a very large group of us, but there are those of us in the sexual health field from different aspects of sexual health that are studying resources or studying data, examining resources, and putting the work towards trying to understand human sexuality and give us more information about who we are, perhaps understand some reasonings as to why we like what causations may happen, what correlations may happen. There is just a lot of work that is happening. And I want to just try to give you this perspective. This was a 2-day conference, and I attended this conference, one, as part of my final piece of getting my certification from SHA, the Sexual Health Alliance, my certification as a sex educator, which means that this accredited group has deemed it that I have met all of the necessary qualifications to be able to provide you this information. And as such, I feel that it is my obligation to share with you the information that I receive. And you can leave it up to me to help decipher it and just introduce it to you. But then there is also the real possibility that I could introduce something to you that you find sparks something in you to want to find out more. And the overall goal here with Do You Know the New Kinky You is really just trying to understand your unique sexuality. What does it mean to you to be a sexual person? It could be not being sexual in a physical way at all. It could be finding your way to develop personal, emotional, or erotic connections. It's really about asking the questions of yourself and then figuring out how to process this information so that you can know how to put things in place to move forward as you feel is most beneficial to you. So all that to say is that these people got together to educate each other and learn from each other about all the things, well, not even all of the things, that's what's crazy about it, about some things related to human sexuality. And this particular weekend's conference was about keeping the spark alive. And you see all of these people that were on the panel were able to speak and contribute from their place as subject matter experts. And in a lot of regards, they are researchers who are asking very hard questions, and they are relying on people like me and like you to be able to provide our experiences to add to the pool of conversation about how it is that we exist as human people. So again, this was a 2-day conference. I'm not going to wrap you up too much, but this was a 2-day conference. This organization hosts various conferences. This is just one of many organizations. The certifying body, if you've seen me talk about the Mirror of Intimacy, the podcast, the governing body that the organization deals with is ASEC, which is the American Association of Sexuality Educators, Counselors, and Therapists. And I'm only holding up this book because this is a book that they recommended. But this is an organization that says whether these organizations, these other organizations, meet the criteria to qualify to teach you about sexual health. There are a bunch of them. I suggest you go up and look. If sexual health and from a educational perspective, if you have an interest in being a coach, an educator, or a therapist, there are resources out here for you to be able to expand your education. Like I mentioned, I am super excited that I am continuing and actually starting what is essentially a brand new, almost brand new career path, you know, seeing as though I got my original master's degree not quite 20 years ago, 15 years ago, let's wrap it up that way. And I am starting the process again to become a master's of education in human sexuality. So we find our path based on our journey and the questions we choose to ask. And these are the questions that I chose to ask to put me here. So I'm on my journey, and I hope that you come along with me. I wanted to just note really quickly to give you some names of, or some of the topics we discussed, as well as some of the people that participated. The theme of keeping the spark alive was really like in different relationship dynamics, over the course of being long-term relationships, whether those relationships be monogamous, whether they have some spiritual components to it, whether they have some other type of, you know, physical components to it. What do we need to do to keep from being bored, to create that novelty in our relationships, to reignite the spark from when it is that we first met? Or better yet, how do we deal with, you know, spark when we've been quarantined together for almost 2 years, or we haven't been quarantined with each other for almost 2 years, and we don't get to see each other the way that we want to or need to, and we've had to find other ways to be intimate. So you can see for yourself, there is a long list, and they did a very good job of finding very competent people to speak on these issues. I will say that it is not the fault of SHA or anybody else, but I always get so disappointed when I don't see more people of color represented in these conversations. There are those of us who do and represent, and I don't think that I posted it yet, but there was a conference that I attended on February 19th that was specifically for people of color. I don't want to say exclusively, but it was definitely specifically for people of color, where the panelists were just as many in a shorter amount of time. So we didn't get as much in-depth conversation in that conference as we did in the 2-day conference, but I will share, if I haven't already, if you haven't seen it, share that information as well, because sharing is caring, knowledge is power, but only when you use it. So I wanted to go back through and give you a chance to pick up some of these names. If there are people that you think have a topic, like again, we talked about some religious issues. What does it mean to be sex positive? There was a lot of dialogue that I really enjoyed about, you know, sex positivity. And again, you've heard me talk about communication and definitions and dialogue, and making sure that when we're saying something, we're speaking the same language. So communication, dialogue, vocabulary, very, very important things to me. But I just wanted to show you that there are places out there, there are resources out there, there are people who are doing the work to answer your questions and to get you resources and perhaps help that you need, to give you permission to be curious or to ask questions or to be confused and not understand. There is a lot to sexuality, and no one of us, not me and not any of this list of people, are going to be able to single-handedly figure it all out. And so we all have to, what we're doing is finding our space and finding our voices and trying to figure out how best we can contribute to that conversation, which is exactly what it is that I'm doing here. I am going through my process to show you that it's okay to be somewhere in between, not to be somewhere in between. And I don't mean necessarily specific to gender identity or sexual orientation or anything like that. I just mean it's okay to be confused. It's okay to not have all the answers. it's okay to question. And it's okay to be figuring it out. We do it with so many other aspects of our lives. Every day we're growing and when we become a parent for the first time, we have no idea what that parent version of us is going to look like. None. We go through each of these episodes, and each kid and each situation is going to be different. So you can never say it's always exactly alike. It's not. We never know how we're going to be as a parent. We never know how we're going to be, in a new role at work or all this stuff. So we can predict, but we just never know. So that is the same thing when we're talking about sex. We never know, and it's okay to not know. And I'm here to help you figure it out so that you can know the new kink here. All right. I'm Shani Jones. Thank you again for watching. Follow me across social media, like, comment, share, do all of those wonderful things. DOYOUKNKY@.com. That is the website, and I will talk to you again soon.